normal.
Dios mío.
No, 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 no. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. For those of
Shabbat
you
shalom.
for those of you who are on Zoom, if you're unmuted, then we'll be able to hear you on streaming as well. But none of the video is showing. You can leave your video running, and it will not be posted in our streaming or our archives. For those of you joining us on Facebook or YouTube, Shabbat Shalom. I'm so glad you can join us this morning. If you're ever interested in joining by Zoom so you can participate in our Torah study from 9:30 to 10:30, we would love to have you. Check your email for the link. It's easier than you think. If you have any trouble with it, let me know. We have lots of volunteers who are happy to help out with the any of the technical aspects that might be involved in getting online and getting connected with Zoom so that you can participate in everything that you would like to participate. Shabbat, the day of rest. Let's begin. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. How good and how pleasant it is for brethren to sit and live together in unity. If you have your talit, I left mine across the room. If you have your talit, go ahead and grab it now and join me in the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hit'atef batzitzit. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of all, who hallows us with mitzvot and commands us to wrap ourselves in fringes. Modeh lefanecha, melech chai v'kayam, shehechazarta binishmati behemla rabba emunatecha. I offer thanks to you, ever-living sovereign, for you have mercifully restored my soul to me. How great is your trust. Matovu, Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Matovu, Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. How fair are your tents, O Jacob, your dwellings, O Israel. It is in each of our sacred spaces that we create this morning that we find sanctuary, that we build our own sanctuary. We see In our Torah study this morning, the uh, closeness to heaven that we experience when we come together in study and in prayer, uh, that in fact, joining together in study and prayer is second only to hearing a voice from heaven. And so we celebrate all of the sacred places that we join together, all of our tents and dwellings from which we pray this morning. Next, we celebrate our physical existence, our ability to live and breathe and sustain ourselves in this world that we are in. We know that in this week's Parsha, we find the famous words, it is not by bread alone that a human being may survive, but all that issues from the mouth of God. We recognize that our physical bodies are a miracle, and with them, we are able to fulfill our spiritual destiny and find spiritual sustenance as well. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who formed the human body with skill. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher yatzar et haadam bechokma, uvaravo nekavim nekavim, halulim halulim, galui viad, גלוי וידוע לפני כיסא כבודך, שאם ייפתח אחד מהם או ייסתם אחד מהם, אי אפשר להתקיים ולעמוד לפניך. ברוך אתה אדוני רופא כל בשר ומפליא לעשות. Blessed are you, Adonai, who heals all flesh, working wondrously. אלוהי נשמה שנתת בי טהוראי. אלוהי נשמה שנתת בי טהוראי. אלוהי נשמה שנתת בי טהורה, טהוראי. אלוהי נשמה שנתת בי טהוראי. אלוהי נשמה שנתת בי טהוראי. My God, the soul you have given me is pure. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. You created it, you shaped it, you breathed it into me, and you protect it within me. For as long as my soul is within me, I offer thanks to you, Adonai, my God and God of my ancestors, source of all creation, sovereign of all souls. Praised are you, Adonai, in whose hand is every living soul and the breath of humankind. Baruch atah Adonai asher biyado nefesh kol chai v'ruach kol basar ish. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe. Before we enter the next part of our prayer, our prayers for daily miracles, we chant these together, these miracles, which thank God for giving us our physical existence, our ability to function in day-to-day life, our ability to function as spiritual beings, elevating the world around us, and for giving us the tools, the closeness to God that we need to make the world which God envisions. You may begin in Hebrew and conclude each blessing in Hebrew or English. I'll be alternating in between, or going somewhat randomly if past weeks are any indication. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan nasach vivina lehavhin ben yom uven laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who opens the eyes of the blind. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who lifts up the fallen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borkah haaretz on hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who strengthens our steps. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hanoten li'arev koach. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who removes sleep from the eyes, slumber from the eyelids. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani b'tzelem Elohim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me free. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, ozer Yisrael b'gvura. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who crowns Israel with splendor. And given the ability to do holy work in this world, we thank God for giving us Torah, the ability to use our minds to understand what it is we must do in this world and to put that to action. With this blessing, we thank God. We bless God for making us holy with the words of Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. And our Torah for this morning, as with every Shabbat morning, a passage from Talmud. Elu devarim she'en lahem shi'ur. These are things which are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world, while the principle remains in the world to come. They are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study, morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer and making peace among people. But the study of Torah encompasses them all. יתגדל ויתקדש שמרה בה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה בעגלה, ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהא שמי רבה מברך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו, לעילם מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירם בעלמא, ואמרו Amen. We rise now for the Baruch Hu. If you're able to physically rise, we rise with our bodies. If it is difficult for you to physically rise, we rise in our hearts. All of us, regardless of whether we are physically rising or not, rise in our hearts and direct our hearts toward God as we join together in our prayer with these words of Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamevorach. Baruch Adonai Hamevorach, Hamevorach le'olam va'ed. Hamevorach, Hamevorach Tayir, Or Hadash, Al Zion Tayir, Venizke, Venizke Hulanu Behera, Leoro, Venizke, Venizke Hulanu Mehera, Leoro. Shine a new light upon Zion, that we all may swiftly merit its radiance. Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer HaMeorot. Once or twice in a lifetime, a man or woman may choose a radical leaving, having heard Lech Lecha, go forth. God disturbs us toward our destiny by hard events and by freedom's now urgent voice, which explode and confirm who we are. We don't like leaving, but God loves becoming. Baruch atah Adonai, havocher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivud Malchuto Le'olam Vaed. If it is your tradition to remain standing through the Shema, you may be seated at this time. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. שירה חדשה שיבחו גאולים, ושמך על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך, לעולם ועד. צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ופדחנו מך יהודה וישראל. גואלנו, אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל, קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. We rise for the Amidah. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah החול, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואמהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, וחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מוריד עטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. מקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ, כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני במקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהייך ציון, לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. בשבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש, לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. To all generations we will declare your greatness, and for all eternity proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O God, shall never depart from our lips. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. On this holy Shabbat, may we draw nearer to life, to peace, and to joy. May we find true rest, holiness in our deeds, worth in our study of Torah. In this holy Shabbat, may we draw nearer in life, in joy, and in peace. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadecha b'yirah la'avod. We continue now our silent prayer. רצונים רפים רפי, והגיון ליבי לפניך. יהיו לרצונים רפים רפי, והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי וגואלי, יהיו לרצון עם רפים רפי, והגיון ליבי לפניך. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. This morning is Shabbat Ekev. As we prepare for the Torah service, if it is your custom to rise for the Torah service, you may do so at this time. I will be remaining seated as we are not in the presence of the open ark or a Sefer Torah. I encourage you to follow your own custom. אין כמוך ואלוהים אדוני, ואין כמעשיך. מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור. אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. Adonai עוז לעמו ייתן, Adonai יברך את עמו בשלום. There is none like you among gods, Adonai, and there are no deeds like yours. You are sovereign over all worlds, and your dominion is in all generations. Adonai reigns, Adonai has reigned. Adonai will reign forever and ever. Adonai will give strength to our people. Adonai will bless our people with peace. Ki mitzion tetze Torah, ki mitzion tetze Torah, udvar Adonai mirushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah Torah le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo. Gadlu Adonai iti uneromema Shemo yachdav. As we begin the Torah service, I'm going to invite anybody who is longing to get out of the house for a haircut or to buy new clothes or shoes that are starting to wear out. If that describes you, then please join together, leading us in the bracha la'aliyah, the blessing over the Torah reading. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Everyone else will respond, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים, ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה. אמן. ויענך וירעיבך ויאכילך את המן אשר לא ידעת ולא ידעון אבותיך. He subjected you to the hardship of hunger and then gave you manna to eat, which neither you nor your fathers had ever known. Leman hodi'ach ki lo al halechem levado yehye ha'adam ki al kol mitzvot fi Adonai yehye al kol motzei Adonai al kol motzei fi Adonai yehye ha'adam, in order to teach you that man does not live on bread alone, but that man can live on anything that God decrees. Imlatecha lo balta me'alecha v'raglecha lo betseka ze arba'a shanim. Ze arba'a shanim. These clothes upon you did not wear out, nor did your feet swell these 40 years. V'shamarta et mitzvat Adonai Elohecha lalechet bidrachav ulya'oto. Therefore keep the commandments which God has of Adonai your God, and walk in his ways and revere him. Together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu torat emet, v'chaye olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. I will say it's a little, um, it's an interesting task being my own rabbi, gabbai, and um, Baal Torah, Baal Koreh, um, reading the Torah and making sure that every Torah reading is accurate, that I'm catching all of my own mistakes. Um, this is a passage of Torah um, which I'll speak about in a minute uh, from this week's parsha. But first, I want to take a moment to say a prayer of healing for all those in our community who are in need of healing, in our community and beyond. All of those in the world in need of healing right now. If there is somebody in particular for whom you are requesting God's healing presence, you may say their name at that point when I pause in this prayer. Mishaberach avotenu v'imotenu, Avraham, Yitzhak v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel v'Leah, hu yivarech et
Victoria bat Barbara.
HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimaleh Rachamim Alehem, Hachalema Mulerapotam Ulhachazikam, Vayishlach Lahem Mehera Refuah Shlema Min Hashamayim, Refuat HaNefesh, Refuat HaGuf, Hashta Ba'gala Ubizman Kariv, V'nomar, Amen. May God grant a speedy healing to all of those who are in need of healing at this time, a healing of body, of mind, of spirit. May it come swiftly and soon. With God's help, we say Amen.
Amen.
Now, before I get the wrong slide, before we put the Torah away, a few words about this Torah reading. Um, in fact, I'm going to go back up to the Torah reading so that you can see exactly what it says as I'm speaking about it. This is a recollection of Moses upon, as with the entire book of Deuteronomy, upon standing at the border ready to enter the promised land. We find Moses delivering these words of advice, encouragement, recollection, admonition, warning to all of the Israelites, all of our ancestors, all of us as we are about to enter the promised land. Uh, Among those words, he recounts and contextualizes the events of the 40 years of wandering, including here he says, God subjected you to the hardship of hunger and then gave you manna to eat, which neither you nor your forefathers had ever known. What an incredible miracle. When we read in the Torah about the manna from heaven, the food which just appeared in the fields, on the ground. It says it appeared as the morning dew uh, every single morning. Gather it up and eat it. As easy as opening a bag of chips and munching on them that we have today. Imagine in the wilderness, all of a sudden you've got your favorite snack food is at the ready, and you never get sick of it because it can taste like whatever your favorite food is, with just a couple of exceptions. What an incredible miracle we read about. We know this miracle, yes? In order to teach you that man does not live on bread alone, but man may live on anything that Adonai decrees. The clothes upon your feet did not wear out, nor did your feet swell. Others translate this, nor did your uh, um, sandals wear out over these 40 years. If you are like the rabbis of old, you hear this passage and you say, wait a minute. Your clothes didn't wear out for 40 years? Your shoes didn't wear out for 40 years? This is the first time we're hearing about it. What a miracle. Does anybody here have a pair of shoes that's 40 years old? What do they look like? Anybody here have a pair of socks or a shirt? Any sort of a garment that's 40 years old? What does it look like? This is not sitting in the back of your closet as you're wandering through the wilderness, right? Clothes that you wear every single day in and day out. Maybe if you were well off, you had a change of clothes, but for the most part, people wore the same clothes from day to day. Maybe you had a special, Shabbat poncho or something while you're wandering in the wilderness. And yet for 40 years it never wore out. Imagine if you bought a new pair of shoes and you started wearing them. You wore them for a couple of months, you think, wow, these shoes are holding up really great. Wear them for a year. Gosh, I bought these a year ago. They still look like they're in perfect condition. How long would it take you to realize that these shoes miraculously were not wearing out? And how long before you took it for granted? This is one of those things that, as your shoes stay in good shape, sometimes you don't even notice it. You only notice it when they wear out. When things go bad, then you notice, we've got to fix this. We got to replace it. We got to get something new. This is such a small miracle that it could easily have gone by unnoticed. And in fact, it seems like it did go by unnoticed. It's completely unmentioned in the entire narrative, the entire recollection of the wandering in the wilderness, except for this passage right here where Moses says, by the way, you may not have noticed, but your clothes haven't worn out for 40 years. Your shoes haven't worn out for 40 years. Your legs never got tired. Sometimes the miracles that we miss are the miracles that we experience every day because everything is working as it should. When things work, we don't notice what a miracle it is. What a miracle that we can wake up every day and our lungs fill with air, that our veins fill with blood, that our heart continues to beat, that all of our openings and closings, as our morning prayer says, function as they ought. It's only when things go wrong. It's only when our health declines. It's only when the dishwasher breaks, when the air conditioning goes out, that suddenly we notice how lucky we are and how lucky we were and how much we should have appreciated all of the miracles from day to day. This passage tells us that we are surrounded by small miracles day in and day out, every single day of our lives. Just as our ancestors for 40 years of wandering in the wilderness were surrounded by miracles, they experienced incredible natural wonders. They experienced the splitting of the Sea of Reeds, the revelation at Sinai, the miraculous victories over powerful enemies. They saw a pillar of cloud in the day and fire in the evening that led them stop through the wilderness. And along this whole time, they never noticed the simple miracles that were right with them the entire time. Our task is to do better than our ancestors, to appreciate the miracles that we experience day in and day out, to take a moment every single day to appreciate how lucky we are that so many things are going right, even as we are in these times when so many things in the world may be going wrong. We can still express gratitude and praise for the miracles that are close to our lives. We'll conclude the Torah service with a time. If it is your custom to rise, you may do so at this time. Eitz Chaim hi lamachazikim ba v'tomecheha meusha dracheha dachei noam v'chol netivotecha shalom. Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Hadesh, Hadesh Yameinu, Hadesh Yameinu Kekedem. We rise now as we enter the final portion of our service for Aleinu and Kaddish. Aleinu. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וכל עלינו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו 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 אחד. At this time we remain standing and I ask everybody who is in a period of mourning, of Shiv'ah, within the first week of someone's death, the period of Shloshim, the first 30 days following the funeral, or Sha'ah, the first 11 months following someone's death and funeral. Or if you are observing a yahrzeit, to share their name, you can post it, write it in chat, you can say it aloud at this time, and God will receive all of these names as we say the mourners Kaddish together. There are stars up above so far away that we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with the people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways to remember. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעולמה דברך ותהי עמך מלכותו, בחייכון ובגונכון, ובחיי בכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה לברך לעולם ולעמי עמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא. ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשה וליכו. לעילם עם כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונתנתה, באמירה בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יהי שמם הרע באמין שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel and to all the world, to which we say, Amen. This is the time now as our service concludes and we enter our oneg to get whatever you are going to enjoy for oneg. This morning I've got my coffee, the Millennium Falcon. If you always wondered what is that on the rabbi's cup, that's from Star Wars. It was a lovely gift from my Bashevet, from Linda. I've got my coffee here. I'll be saying Kiddush Shehakol Nihyeh Bidvaro when we get to that point. If you've got challah or if you've got other treats that you're going to enjoy with us, this would be the perfect time to get those together and we can enjoy this lovely Shabbat. A nice sunny day. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל עוד היא לעולם, עוד היא לעולם. בשמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. על כן ברך אדוני את יום השבת ויקדשהו. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהכל נהיה בדברו. לחיים. If you're enjoying any other treats this morning, you can join together with us as we bless together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Blessed are you, eternal God, who brings forth bread from the earth. Shabbat shalom. I'm going to stick around if you're on Zoom. I'm going to stop the stream in just a moment once I remember how to do that.